Guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. For today we'll be working on a calculator using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Okay, so let's go to our VS Code. Okay, so this is the HTML. We have a div for the calculator, a div for the display, buttons, instructions, and this is our CSS. Now this is basically how our calculator looks like. This is basically how our calculator looks like. So our instruction here is to click numbers and operators to perform calculations. We have this to clear or clear entry, backspace, and this for calculating results. These ones are to perform operations. Okay, so now let's start. So first start by typing document.add events listener. So mostly I like using the DOM content loaded event to be on the safer side. So we have a div with a class display and it has previous operand and current operand. So this is basically the previous operand. Sorry, this is the current operand and our previous operand is basically here, but you won't see because it's, let's say, an empty string. So we need those elements in our JavaScript. So let's see, I'll make this current operand element is equal to documents dot get elements by ID, and we have current operand. Next is previous operand element is equal to document dot get elements by ID, and we have previous operand. And we would also need our buttons as well. So let's make it buttons is equal to document dot, let me use query selector dot button. Now after we are done looking at our calculator here, we need some global variables that will store the current operand, previous operand, and that of the operation. So global variables, then let current operand be equal to this. So that's what you see here, and our previous is basically make it an empty string. So previous, make it like this. Previous operand is an empty string, and let our operation be equal to none. Now there are lots of functions this calculator is supposed to perform, so that's where we will then create several functions for this calculator. So we will have, first of all, function that will have to display the results, and we will also need function to perform the calculation. We need function to clear or function to clear current, function for backspace, function to display result. So let me first write them down. So function to update display, or we have function to clear or and we have function to clear entry. We have function to delete, right? We will definitely delete numbers. So we have a function to delete a number, and also to how the numbers are supposed to be displayed. So we have a function to add, let me use append a number, and we also need a function that will help us to choose our operation. Then we will need a main function that performs the operation. So function to perform main, or let me say function for computation. So the function for computation would be where we will have the numbers, that the operations being performed, and we will also eventually create the button. We'll add an event listener definitely for the buttons. Yep. So now let's start. So we'll first start with the first one. So the first function is to basically update display. So what this means is that we want to create a function that will show how the operands will be displayed. So let me give an example. So let's say our current, let me comment it. So let's say our current operand is, let's say, 9. Then I perform an operation to minus, right? So what this means is that, so we have this to be our current. So mind you, all this is basically a string. Then initially we know that our previous is basically an empty string. Now when I type in 8 minus, then let's say I want to type in 8 minus 5. So what this means is that the previous will now be 8 minus, right? And our current will now be 5. So this is how it's going to look like. This is how the swapping and all that is going to look like. So we'll start by creating our function. So I will basically use an arrow function. Then we want to so the next thing is that we were able to define our current operand element. So we want a situation whereby they'll be displayed, like we have to link it to this our global operand. So current operand elements dot text, we use the text content is will be equal to current operand, then our previous operand elements dot text content will be equal to. So in this place, this is where we will perform we will include a condition here. So the condition here is that what we did earlier with 8 minus 5, so we make sure that we saw that the previous operand would include the operation, so we need operation, so it needs the operation, and also it needs the previous operand. So we are saying that if we have the operation and the previous operand, so we are basically using the ternary operator here. So if we have the operation and the previous operand, if it is true, then show the previous operand, and also to show the operation. If that is not so, just show the previous operand. I hope this is clear. And now the next function is to clear all. So clear all is when we have our numbers, previous operand, current operand plus the operation. We are basically, what we want the calculator to do is to basically clear everything. So basically, if we want that to happen, that means we have to make sure that all these ones are our default value. So const clear all. So let me just copy all this here. Yes. So don't worry, I'm definitely going to remove this. Okay. Now the next one is to clear entry. So what does clear entry means? Clear entry means that, let's say we have 99 has the current operand. So what this means is to just clear it off. So basically what we want the calculator to do is to make sure that in order to clear the 99, we just make it to have a default like operand, which we all know that it's 0. So mind you that they are all strings, right? They are all strings. So we create our function clear entry, and we have current. So let me just copy this. So current operand is this. Now the next one is deleting a number. So in deleting the number, what we mean is that, so let's say we have the current we have our current operand to be 99, and we want, let me make it 1 2 3 4 5, and we want to delete a number. So basically, mind you, these are all strings, not, this is a string, sorry, it's not a number. So what we want to do is that when we press this button, we want the 5 to be removed. So what we have to do is, since it is a string, we can use this string operator, which is slice, So slice is basically a string method, not an operator. We can use this slice, which is a string or an array method. So what the slice do is to basically copy the number, so the string, sorry. So it doesn't mutate or change the original string, it's to just copy it, like extract some portion from it. So that would be our best option to remove the 5, right? And also, to what if, let's say, like in clearing like the digits, right? What if, let's say, our current operator is 1, then let's say it's 1, then I press this button. So when it's 1, that means that we need to display our current operand, which is what? 0. So we will also create a condition for that. That will be all under the delete number function. So delete number, and we'll have, so for this side here, we are saying that if let's say our current operand dot length, right, if it's equal to 1, if that is so, then our current operand will then be equal to this. Now if that is not so, then our current operand will be equal to, so current operand dot, so that's why we'll be using the slice method, 0 minus 1. So we are taking the index of it. So that's what it means. So as I said earlier, if the current is, let's say, 1 2 3 4, and we want to remove this 4, we want to remove 4. So we have 0. So for the indexing of string, like arrays and all that, so we start from 0 1 2 3, and also from backwards we have -1, -2, -3, -4. So we are basically wanting to remove the what, extracting the last number, which is 5, or any number, right? So that's why we have the -1. So mind you that the 0 here, the first index, and so this is the start index and this is the end index. So the start index means that issue. So for the slice method, we are basically not removing but taking or extracting a portion of the string or an array. So basically we are talking about a string, so we are extracting the portion of the string, right? We are extracting just the portion of the string. So we only need 1 2 3, not 5. So for the ending index, what it means is that when this is being done, it doesn't include the last index, right? It doesn't include it, so it's only going to show 1 2 3. So that's what it means. Now the next one is to append a number. So this is where we basically will create a function that will show how the number is displayed. So there are some conditions that came to mind, and the first one is, what if so what if, so the appending of number, we need a parameter which is like number. So let's say, what if our number is, maybe it's our number, what if our number is equal to this, right? What if our number is equal to this? So it's like, what if the user is inputting this? Then once we know that our current operand is equal to this, so in a situation like this, we just have a condition that ends it, so nothing is to be done. And the second one is that, what if let's say my current operand is like, we know it to be 0, and what I'll be inputting is let's say 99, a number, right? So in this situation here, we will want the current operand to be equal to the number, which will be equal to 99. If that is not so, then we will say that our current operand will be equal to current operand plus the number. So that's what it means. So now, since we understand these conditions, let's code them. So we create our function const append number, then we have our number here. So let me so for the first condition we have here, so we are saying that if, let's say, our number is equal to this dot, and our current operand includes or has this. So if it has it, just and then the next one is if, let's say, our current operand is equal to this, and let's say our number, which is from the user, is not equal to this. If that is not so, current operand will then be equal to what? The number. Else if, let's say, so this is a situation where maybe our current operand, right? Our current operand is basically a number, right? Our current operand is basically a number, and we want to include another number to it. We want to include another number to it, so that's what we say, that current operand plus or equal to what? The number. So this string concatenation. So bear in mind that we are using strings, not numbers. Now the next one is choosing an operation. So for the choosing of the operation, that is the plus, the minus, and all those things, right? So what we would actually do is that, now this choosing of operation here, it will take a function from the function to do like, sorry, function for computation. So let me create just a function here. So function for computation, let me say function and let me just write compute and this. So for the choosing of operation, it will also pass a parameter, an argument, name operand or something. Then what we want to do is that let's say if our current like operand is a string, so we just end it. But what if our previous, so let's say our current operand, right? So the main one is what if our current operand, sorry, okay, I've already mentioned the current one, the first condition. So the second condition is that what if our previous operand is not a string, so maybe it's 9. So what if it is 9 and we have to include our operation here? So that's where we'll bring the function that perform the computation. Okay, so yeah, that is all we have to do here. Okay, so the first condition is that if our current operand is equal to an empty string, then return. Then if, let's say, our previous operand is not equal to an empty string, then we have our function here, compute. Okay, sorry. I'm doing all this without creating the cap. So choose operation will be equal to OP, right? And so if our current operand is equal to an empty string, and it's if let's say our previous operand is not equal to an empty string, if that is not so, we have our function here that performs the computation. Now in choosing our operation here, we defined our operation to be equal to none. So the operation here will be now equal to this, and so this is where we do the swapping here. So now in this situation, our previous operand will be equal to what? The current operand. Then our current operand will then be equal to an empty string. Right. Okay. So now this is the function compute. I take it to be the main function that does most of the how we want our operation to be done. So for the compute here, you can see that we have from our initial function here, we said that if the operand is not equal to, call this function. Now in this function, we need our previous operand, we need our current operand, and also also we need to create certain conditions for selecting the operation, and also to showing how it will be calculated or performed. So it basically addition, subtraction, and all that. So that's what it means. Sorry. So first one is we are creating a function here. So in this situation, let's say what if the user, we have 9, the user chooses plus, right? And let's say our current is 10. So we need to perform such operation, and that will be done in this function here. So we have our previous, let's just previous is equal to. Now in order to perform this computations here, the plus, the addition, we need to convert the previous operand into a number. So we can see from the initial stage that it's basically what they are all strings, right? So they are all strings. So what we need to do here is that, so we have our function pass float, and we have current operand, then current is previous, and we have current operand. So let's create a result. Let's create a result. Now we want to create conditions for choosing between the plus, the minus, the division. So I will basically use the switch statement. I'll basically use the switch statement. So we have our switch. Okay, let me just use this. Right, and for this key here, we have operation. So let's see, what if my operation is plus? So our case here will be, so what if it's plus? So what this means is that if it is plus, then result will be equal to previous plus current. We have another case here. What if it's minus? So result will be equal to previous minus current. Break. Then we have a case, what if it's times? So what if it is times? So you can see it here. If that it's so, result will be equal to previous times current, and we break. Now what also, so we've worked on this, work on this. Now what if our case is what if our case we have division? So let me take it from here. I think I have it. Sorry. So in this situation here, results will be equal to, now we know for division like this, right, if we have something like this is basically undefined. So we need to create a condition for that. So let's say if our current is equal to 0, so if is equal to 0, display an error. If it's not, then previous divided by current. Then break default return. So now we have our operation here. Now, so after we are done, so let's say if we input, let's say we have our operation 9 plus 4, right, which is equal to 13. Now we want the 13, which is the result, to be displayed. So where should it be displayed? So it should be displayed in what our current operand, which is where the 0 is. So we have so we will say that let our current operator be equal to result. Now result is basically a number, not a string, so we will use this string function here to convert it. Now after that, so when displaying our results, now we then default the operation to none, and our previous operand would then be an empty string. So this is how it looks. This is how the function to compute is. So now the next thing is to now work on our buttons. The next thing is to work on our buttons. So add an event listener to this button. So we already have our button element here already. So what we'll do is button dot add event listener, right? And we have click, our event will click, and then now we have to take our time with this. Now we have so the button is basically the parent element, right? Yes. So the div here, we have the button. Now inside this div we have a lot of buttons there. So what we need to do is to actually target the element. So I think we need an event here. Then we say that const button will be equal to e.target. Sorry, I'm saying event.target. Now so in our button we have, let's go to our HTML. Our HTML here we have so we have buttons for clearing, delete, and all those things. So these are data actions, so we need to create conditions for them, right? We need to create conditions for them. And what we also need inside here is that what if we can see that some of these buttons here, they are basically numbers, like data number. We can see data number here. So we also need to create a condition for that. So let's say our data number or something, if it's not let's say we have so first of all where is okay, we created a function to show how we want our number to be displayed, right? Show how we want our number to be displayed. So let's say inputting, let's say 7 8. So we need, so all these things need to be inside the button. They are all event. So let's start with a situation where we are clicking on these buttons that are numbers. So what we can do is that we call our pend. Now realize that our pend function here has number. It has number to be the parameter. So what we need to do is that, what are we actually targeting here? Where is the number coming from? So if we are clicking on this button here, we will say button, which is our target, we have dot data set dot number dot number. Okay, so now we've called our function here. Now if I am inputting, I'm pressing on 5 6 9, they basically need to be displayed here. And remember, we created a function that what shows the numbers, how they are what displayed, right? So we call our update display here, and we are done. Now the next thing, though something is wrong here. This is supposed to be in a condition, sorry. So the condition here is maybe if our button dot data set dot number is not equal to, maybe it's not undefined, let's put it that way. If it is not undefined, then you have our pen number here, we have the update display, and it ends. Now the next one is that we need to create also a condition. Let's say I don't we realize that each button has what, the same class, right? To be button here, each of them, right? So what we can do is to create a condition, if not button dot class it dot contains this, then just end it. Now so the next one is to create a condition for the actions or functions here, so deleting and clearing and all those things, adding. So we can see from our HTML we have certain actions: clear entry, delete, divide. So we need to create conditions for that. So I basically will use the switch statement. So let's say button dot data set dot action, right? If let's say the user, so let's start with this. The user first clicks on the clear. What should be done is what? So we already created a function to what? To clear all our results, or so we have this here. Then what if the user clicks on the clear entry? So make sure it's basically the same thing. So we have our functions for clear entry, and we break. Then the next one is what if the user selects what? Delete, right? What if the user selects delete? So we will call in our what? Delete number. Then we break. Then a case, what if the user press on the add button? So on the add button, we need our choose operation. So choose operation. Wait. I have a case for multiplication. So we will also have our choose operation, and we have a case for so we didn't do divide. So choose operation, break, and we have let's see, I hope I've done everything. Okay, it's left with one, that's the equal. So for the equal to, we will use this function, yes, because this function has results. This function has results that, so it basically displays our results. So we are going to use that. So we call in the complete. Then we break. So I really need this. Okay, so after we press on this button and all that, we need to call a function here. We need to call a function here. So after we're done, we need to call a function which will be the update display, which will show the previous and the current, because mind you that we will have all this operation, all these variables here, but also we need to make sure that they also appear here. So when I saved it, you can see 9, you can see all these ones here. So when I press 99, you can see this is removing. Okay, let me make it 1, 2, 3, 4. Now using our delete, our clear entry, you can see it has been removed. This, so if the length is 1, what do you have to do? You show the current operand. So after creating this too, we also would need to call the update display here. Now let's see our work. So 7, let's say 7 minus, okay, I didn't include subtract. And also too, we forgot something. Our choose operation comes with a parameter. So if it's to this one, we have, if it's to multiply, sorry, but I have to copy this thing here. If it's to, no, if it's to multiply, if it's to subtract here. So let's see, 9 times 6. Okay, there is an issue somewhere we need to fix. We can see this is working. This is working. This is working. So 9. Sorry. Okay, we need to do something here. You can see that when I click on this and I choose minus, you see it shows the not a number. It shows that it's not a number. So basically these ones are working. Let me try 9 plus 6. We can see it's working here. You can see it's working, but we have an issue somewhere that we need to fix. So in our compute here, we are supposed to also create a condition. And one of the conditions is that, let's say if let's say our previous, or let's say our current, if they are not numbers, we will just have to end. Okay, so now let's see, 9 divided by 3. Okay, so something is wrong here. We need to check. So what the issue here is that when I first click on 9 minus, so the minus is supposed to be included here as what we actually did when we were starting. So let's go to the update function. So we said current operand is equal to this previous operand. You are saying that, okay, I made a mistake here. It's supposed to be 2, and yeah, so let's see, 9 times so we can see 9 times 6. Now you can see it's working. So when I press this, it clears all. 9 times 7. You can see it's working. We change it to 9, change it to 6. Okay, so 9 divided by 2, 9 plus 6 plus 2, plus 9. Now our equal to is not working. So let me see something here. So we have current, previous, we have our results, we have our result. So break. Let me see return results. So let's see, 9 times 6. No. There is an issue that we are missing here. The issue here right now is the results isn't showing. So let me see something. Oh, okay. So our case here is the action is actually supposed to be this. So 9 times 6. We have 6 minus 2. It's 8 minus, 77 times 3. Okay guys, so this is the JavaScript logic for the calculator. I hope you learned a lot. Thank you for watching this video.